Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. Uneducated Network on YouTube presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and we are here to review Week 16. We thought Week 15 was the decider. Well, Week 16 pretty much put a stamp. Now we all know what each team that is still in contention has to do, or cannot afford to do to get into the playoffs. That being said, before we get started, please like and subscribe to Uneducated Network, where you see my show, Uneducated Sports Talk, and many other shows on our channel. We're more than just a channel, we're a way of life as well. So please subscribe to Uneducated Network to where you can see a lot of content going on. So that being said, let's go on to Week 16 and let's review what happened. So we had two Saturday games. We had the Colts versus the Ravens. I went the Ravens, and Ravens went out and won. Ravens won 23-16. Excuse me. And they kind of semi-clinched the playoff spot. They are 9-6. Basically, they have to win, and they're for sure in for the wild card. All kind of crazy things have to happen for them not to be in the playoffs. But one, just win and you're in. That's all they had to worry about at that time. In this game, the Colts, they played tough. T.Y. Hilton, I thought not to start him, and he had a good game. Colts had a great game plan against the Ravens, but the Ravens are still the better team, better defensive team on there as well. Vikings and the Packers, I chose the Vikings to win that game, and of course they went out with a shutout, 16-0 over the Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers. Boy, I would imagine if the Green Bay would have beat Carolina 2 weeks ago, this game would have been so hyped up because Green Bay keeps winning, and they always had the Vikings number, and Rodgers has the Vikings number, and that would have made a crazy headline for that night game Saturday, but of course that did not happen with them losing to Carolina. Aaron Rodgers put on IR, so he's out for the rest of the season because they're out of the playoffs, and they just had no spark, no funk. And Minnesota's already one of the best defensive teams in the game, and now you add a little bit of offense to their style as well. They're probably going to be a tough out for anybody in the playoffs. They win 16-0. Rams and the Titans, I chose the Rams, but man, this game was pretty close. People keep forgetting, yes, the Titans have been looking bad, but they still have a chance to make the playoffs, and that's why they fought so hard in this game. One is in Tennessee, and they lost 27-23 against the Rams, and the Rams and Todd Gurley, that guy's been going off for the last probably a month and some change now. He's trying to be one of the front runners for MVP. He's in the conversation now, to just say that. I don't know if he's actually going to win the MVP award, but he's in the conversation big time. If he's not, shame on the Riders, because he's had a hell of a season, both catching and running, obviously running. But he's had a great season, and they utilized him to the fullest. He exploited that defense that was a highly ranked defense in Tennessee, to be honest. Highly ranked rushing defense, and he exploited it big time. Over 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving as well. Todd Gurley had a big game. They were down at one point in the fourth quarter. Now, Tennessee has a lot to fight for, so that's why they were fighting in this. And they were very game, but Marcus Mariota has had a downgrade from year 2 to year 3. He just had a downgrade. I don't know what's wrong with him, but it's not pretty. I can tell you that right now. So they still have a chance, but they need to win next week, the Titans do. And they have to have a lot of luck going on. That being said, the Rams are pretty much stuck at number 3. They could fall to number 4. They went out there and said they will start some players. They were resting players, excuse me. But you have to realize that they do lose and the Saints win. The Saints go to number 3 and the Rams go to 4. Now, I don't know how that actually goes when it comes down to seedings and all that. But if I'm the Rams, just try and do what you can to win your game against the team that you're facing. So I will go out there and see the Rams will play. But Rams did win 27-23. Bills at Patriots. Patriots won 37-16. But this game, very interesting. A lot of key factors. One, the Patriots were in a dogfight in the first half. And then there's with the Bills being up 16-13 right before halftime, they score obvious touchdown to Kevin Benjamin. But upon review, referees had it out there. I don't know if Patriots are paying people for real, but that's like 3 or 4 times this year. We've had some weird calls go to the Patriots' favor, like Austin Seferian-Jenkins when he had that fumble catch was a touchdown, but they said it wasn't a touchdown. Then you get the Jesse James incident, and now you get the Kevin Benjamin incident, all against the Patriots. So that game, if he scored that touchdown, they're up 23-13 going into halftime, and things might be a little bit different. That was a big call in that game. I don't care if no one says. Yes, the Patriots are a better team than the Bills, and they ultimately still won the game, and probably still would have won the game regardless of the outcome. But those kind of things need to be looked at by the referees, looked at by the NFL, because these replay systems are getting worse and worse every single year. And that was blatant. That was blatant bad call, in my opinion. Horrible when you change it up. Patriots, they do clinch. They clinch a first round bye. They do have the 1 or the 2 seed, and so they'll find out where they'll be at. But they still have to play next week against the Jets, So we'll see about that. Browns at the Bears. I chose the Browns to win this. Browns 0-14 coming to this game. You're like, they gotta have one right against this, not so good Bears. Bears coming with 4 wins, and you thought this would be their best chance, and it was their best chance until you went out there and you saw the weather. I mean, it was snowing. It wasn't just the kind of game that you want to play. And those elements helped the Bears out, by defeating the Browns. They win 20-3. The Browns only must up 3 points. Now, Bears have a decent defense. I can tell you that right now, a very decent defense. But we seen the Browns score points against better defenses. But I guess the weather came out and said no Browns. 0-15 you go, and guess what? They got Pittsburgh next week, and Pittsburgh team who still has to play to keep fighting. They could very well go 0-16, be the second team in NFL history to do that, besides the 2008 Detroit Lions. So they got a lot of work to do. It's funny because they had, we remember last year when Hugh Jackson went on, and after they went 0-16, and said it would never, 1-15 would never happen. 1-15 would never happen again. You're right. You might get 0-16. So, he's not on the hot seat. It's not his fault because this team is complete garbage. But sooner or later, the record is going to stand for itself, and you got to go. It is what it is. So, Falcons at the Saints. I chose the Saints. Right with my hometown team, New Orleans Saints, and we got it done. They had a bad loss against the Falcons 2 weeks ago on a Thursday night game, but that was a lot of shadiness going on with play calling. I mean, not play calling, but with the referees and all that stuff. This game is New Orleans now. The vibe is different. The winner was basically going to clinch a playoff spot. We knew that. With the Saints winning, they clinched a playoff spot for sure. They win 23-13 in a game where Matt Ryan has just struggled mightily this year. And I don't know what's wrong with Matt. I don't know what's up with if it's the Steve Sarkisian deal that's going on. Maybe Kyle Shanahan had a whole lot more to do with Matt Ryan's success than we thought. But Matt Ryan has looked very, very, very timid this year. He's short-armed a lot of throws. He's been very undecisive. And I don't know what's going on with him, but great defensive game plan by the Saints. Basically a bend don't break. Goal line stands, 2 goal line stands against the Falcons. They shut Devontae Freeman down on a 4th and goal, and then they let him fumble on a second and goal, and he had a fumble. So they came out with turnovers. You saw the butt pick or the butt interception or whatever you want to call it from Marshawn Lattimore. Those guys on the Saints defense are actually for real. And now A.J. Klein is out, but you see that Robinson is still somewhat not a better player than A.J. Klein, but he's up there. And then, you see Manti Te'o, who had an excellent game. This is probably his best game he's played in his career, not only just the New Orleans Saints, but in his career. And the Saints clinch a playoff spot with Drew Brees being the 3rd player in NFL history to go over 70,000 plus yards passing. He joins Brett Favre and Peyton Manning in that category. So what an awesome achievement from Drew Brees. And every day he's breaking some sort of record. And then Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, those 2 guys have just been excellent. I can go on about my Saints right now, but I'm just happy we clinched a playoff spot for the first time since 2013. It's been a long time coming, y'all. Who that? Next, Lions and the Bengals. And guess what? I chose the Bengals to win. Yes, I chose it. If you don't believe me, go back to my last show. I said the Bengals would beat the Lions. It was just in Cincinnati. It was in Cincinnati and Detroit. I think it was Cincinnati, getting some pieces back. I had a feeling that they will at least, with the Marvin Lewis's rumors saying that this is last year, and it's pretty much his last year. You gotta go out with some sort of bang if you're the Bengals. No pun intended, but you gotta go out with some sort of bang, something good for this franchise, because Marvin Lewis has been there 15 years and really couldn't, you had a few playoff experiences, but you couldn't get out the first round. But I think it's time for a change. It's time to go. It might be time for a new quarterback as well. Andy Dalton's just not cutting it out there in Cincinnati. But they do win. And a game that the Lions had to have. This was a must win for the Lions. And they had everyone healthy. So there was no excuse for the Detroit Lions. They had to win this game to get keep hope alive. They lose this game by a score of 26-17, and they are out of the playoffs. They're done. They're done. This is a very promising team, and you figured that they would come out there and, try and handle business against a very struggling Bengals team. But I had a feeling the Bengals would come out with some kind of, let's win one for Marvin. Let's win one for the fans. And I thought Detroit Detroit is still, yes, they're in the North, but they're still a dome team. They're a dome team. So they kind of, when they go out to those cold weather places, they kind of struggle. So I kind of put those together. Cincinnati comes out with a huge victory. Detroit Lions, a heartbreaking loss. They're out of the playoffs now. No playoff chances for them. So let's go with the the Bucks at the Panthers. Panthers win. They are in the playoffs, and that's what they did. They go ahead and beat the Buccaneers 22-19 in the game where the Buccaneers had it. They had it. They had a chance to win and to spoil Carolina for at least another week, and it did not happen. Cam found a way. You had an ugly, bad Cam in the first 3 quarters, and you had a really, really good to great Cam in the 4th quarter. He showed up big time that last drive for them. Panthers go as far as Cam Newton goes. And if Cam is having an off day, they're going to lose every game. If Cam is having a great day, they're going to win every game, pretty much. He is just that good and that dynamic when it comes down to how he fits that Carolina Panthers offense. He is, very unstoppable when he's at his best. I can tell you that right now. So the Panthers win. They clinch a playoff spot. Now all they need to do is win and hope that the Saints lose to where they can get at least a home game. And they can even get a bye week if things go their way with the Vikings losing. And they have a chance to get they have a lot to play for this week against the Falcons. So that'll be a very huge game with huge gainings and losses to go with both of those teams. The winner of that, Atlanta has to win that game. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Now we're getting to a few games that just no one really cared about. Dolphins and the Chiefs. If you're a Chiefs fan, you cared about it because you had to win. Dolphins already eliminated from the playoffs. The Chiefs had to win this game to win the division. That is what they do. They beat the Dolphins 29-13. And Alex Smith, it just finds a way to win those games. And Kareem Hunt, they're finding Kareem Hunt back into the mix again. 3 weeks now, he's been doing very well. So he started off very hot the first 5 to 6 games of the year. Then week 7 through about 13 or 14, just struggle. Now they got him back into the game plan. Things are looking good. Chiefs will get a home game in the playoffs. And look, I'm telling you right now, Chiefs are still scary. I don't care no one says, they are still a scary team. Breaking news just came out though. Patrick Mahomes will start in week 17 for the Chiefs because they can afford that because they have a game the following week. So you don't want to get Alex Smith hurt. I understand that. And a lot of their starters might be out. So fantasy guys, you got to kind of change that up because you don't know how Pat Mahomes is going to react in this game and who he's throwing it to. So we'll talk about that in a second. But they beat the Dolphins 29-13, clinched the AFC West. Broncos at the Redskins. I chose the Broncos to win this. I chose the Chiefs, to beat the Dolphins. I chose the Panthers to beat the Buccaneers. And I did choose the Bengals to beat the Lions. Just let you guys know that. Broncos at the Redskins. I chose the Broncos because of their performance from last week. I thought their defense being there was going to be huge. Akeem Talib and Chris Harris Jr. And I thought they were going to just shut down this Redskins obvious young and inexperienced wide receiver core. And that did not happen. Kirk Cousins found a way to win that game. The Broncos, the Redskins defense handled business against Brock Osweiler. And I should have put that into account too when I chose the game, that maybe, the Broncos being on the road and outside, not in the dome against a very bad coach defense, but a decent defense in Washington, maybe that might come back and hurt them, and it sure did. Brock Osweiler just did not have a chance in this game or prayer. This was one of the few games that did not matter at all, the outcome, because both of these teams suck anyways. They're both out, so no one was really worried about this. But that could be Kirk Cousins' last hoorah. That's the bigger part, what's going to happen in free agency. So later on in life, we'll get down to that, and I can't wait for that. Chargers at the Jets. This is a must-win for the Chargers, and that is exactly what they did against a very, very stingy Jets defense. The Chargers win 14-7 in a very, very close game. I knew it would be close in reality. Now, seeing Chargers to the Jets, you thought, nah, it won't be that close because of with their quarterback being gone. But nah, the Jets team come out to play, and the Chargers did just enough. Those guys from LA did just enough to win. Now their playoff hopes are still alive. They are still in it. There are the Bills, the Titans, the Chargers and the Ravens all have chances to win. They get that final wild card spot, and we're going to find out who will get that. The final two wild card spots, so they're both available in the AFC. So Chargers get a much needed win. They go to, I believe, what is that, 8-7 now? They're 8-7, yeah. So, and we all know Baltimore has to win. Win, you're in. That's a great scenario for Baltimore. Everybody else, I don't know. Can't help you on that one. Jaguars at 49ers. I chose the Jaguars to win this, and guess what? Jimmy Garoppolo is for real, y'all. He is for real. He is scaring me. I mean, yes, I know it comes from that New England Patriot thing going on, but he didn't play really a single snap, to be honest. He played 2 games as a starter and won both games. But he has some magic, right? He is 4-0 as a San Francisco 49ers. They won 4 straight games. When this was a year that they were going to just collapse and get another high pick. You get Garoppolo, and now he has changed the atmosphere. He is. If you watch that game or watch the last couple of 49ers games, and you've seen that crowd, and they're into it. They are hyped. This is a great, not a good, a great Jaguars defense that the 49ers put up 44 points on. 44 points against this Jaguars defense. That say something about Jimmy Garoppolo and his game, because they look like they could be scary for next year. They're just reaching the little tip of what they actually can be. So I'm excited to see what goes on with Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers. But they beat the Jaguars 44-33. Who would have thought that? Not me. I was putting this as Jimmy Garoppolo's first L. Everyone has to lose, right? So why not be this? The Jaguars had a lot to play for, and they had scuffles on the sideline. They had issues going on with their defense. Down 10-0. I understand down 10. And the Jaguars, they try to be this perfectionist defense. I saw Jalen Ramsey get beat. They were winning the game, but he got beat one time. And he was so upset. And he was upset with himself and upset with everybody else around him. And I know they're perfectionists. This game, they were far from perfect. Big play after big play after big play from the 49ers. They had to win this game because they have a chance. They still, at the time, had a chance to get a first-round bye. Hell, they had a chance to get the number 1 overall seed if anything bad things would have happened to the Patriots. But with that being said, they're still in the playoffs, and they will still host most likely host a wild card game. They can still get that second seed if Pittsburgh loses to Cleveland. I don't see that happen at all. No, I lied. I think Pittsburgh clinched. Sorry about that. We'll talk about that in just a second. Excuse me. Seahawks and the Cowboys, which is the game of the week. This is a playoff game. This was a playoff game. The winner is in, the loser is out. And whoever wins is still not going to clinch. That's why it's a semi-playoff game. Seattle goes into Dallas. I had Dallas win this game. Ezekiel Elliott's first game back. You're like, yeah, let's go. Zeke got the 8-pack rolling. He's in Mexico, not eating Mexican food, but he's in the best shape of his life. He lost a lot of weight, but he still looked slim and he still looked fast. And, man, they started off riding him. And I said, okay, there you go, Dallas. Dallas was only up 6-0 at one point, but they had control of the game. And then at the end, I don't know what happened, but they started to get a little bit, when I say they kind of, weird. Multiple times they're in the goal line or in the red zone, and they do not run Ezekiel Elliott at all. When Ezekiel Elliott's been averaging about 4.5 yards a clip every time he gets the ball, why are you not running the ball with Ezekiel Elliott? And then you have Dez Bryant, who was crying on the sideline the whole entire time, like he always does, but to Dez's defense, when he whines, he gets the ball. And when he gets the ball, he produces. But in this game, he did not. He basically had a ball punched. I mean, literally, a jab. One of the cornerbacks for the Seahawks, I want to say it was Maxwell, just basically jabbed the ball in Dez Bryant's hand. A nice little right hook. But and then another play, Dez Bryant, I don't care what anyone says, that's not Dak Prescott's fault. If you are a wide receiver in the NFL and you're elite wide receiver in the NFL and a ball hits you on both your hands, you have to catch it. I don't care what no one says. That was Dez Bryant's fault. He has to catch that ball. They're in zone coverage. Yes, it's a little hot, but you get paid millions of dollars to catch that ball. And I know you could. 8 times out of 10, he's going to catch it, right? So why this one time out of those 10 he didn't? Everyone's saying it was Dak Prescott's fault. No, if you're a receiver and the ball hits your hands and you're getting paid a lot of money to catch that ball, you better catch it. Dez Bryant, he came up small for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's been coming up small all year. I think he's gone 22 straight games without going over 100 yards receiving. That is amazing. That tells you that the system has changed. and that Dez Bryant may have probably changed as a number one threat. They had to go and get somebody else, I believe, this offseason. That being said, I'm talking all that mess because Seattle winds up winning. Don't know how. 21-12 against Dallas. And this game that was very sloppy from both sides. Mainly Seattle. Seattle couldn't get anything on offense going on at all. Dak Prescott basically threw a couple interceptions to Seattle that kept them in the game. Otherwise, Dallas probably could have ran away with this. But that play call they had, and that's more on Jason Garrett. You call those kind of plays in the red zone, you do not feature who is arguably the best running back in the game, Ezekiel Elliott. You don't feature him in the red zone, you are going to lose. You're going to lose that game. So that is not that is a Dallas Cowboy issue. It wasn't so much that Seattle won, as that Dallas lost. But you can't say that when it comes down to a playoff kind of game. And this game was win or go home. Dallas lost. They're out. Seattle still has a chance to clinch a playoff berth. And that's what it's all about. If you're Dallas, you got to be smart on that. That lets you know that if it was the playoffs for real, they would have done the same things because this was basically a playoff game. And they came up very small. And Dan Beatty, bless his heart, he's had a growing issue for the last, I think, month now. And he went 4 for 4 and then 0 for 2. And field goals, and those two were very huge 2 misses. So we'll see what goes on with them. And then the last game on that Sunday, Cardinals, Giants of the Cardinals. This is another game no one cared about unless you had Larry Fitzgerald in your fantasy, and he came up very huge. Cardinals win 23-0. That was pretty much Eli Manning's last away game, maybe as a New York Giant. We're not sure yet, but that's nothing at all. Arizona wins 23-0. I chose the Cardinals to win that. I chose the Cowboys to beat the Seahawks. Didn't happen. Let's go on to the Christmas Day games now. We had 2 going on. Steelers at the Texans, and poor Texans. I keep saying it. I feel so bad for this team because this team at the beginning of the year, I'm talking about game number 2. As soon as Deshaun Watson became Deshaun Watson for that week 3, you thought, okay, this Houston Texans team is about to be legit, and then they lose everybody, man. They lose everybody. J.J. Watts, Whitney Merciless, then you lose Deshaun Watson. The list goes on with this team and how the potential could have been. This could have been a very marquee. Can you imagine Deshaun Watson, and them in the playoff race against Big Ben and the Steelers, and them in the playoff race Monday afternoon, Christmas time. That would have been a huge game, huge ratings, but it did not happen. Steelers win 34-6. They do clinch a top 2 seed in the AFC with the Jaguars loss, so they will have a first round bye. They need the Patriots to lose next week and for them to win to get the number 1 overall seed, but we're going to see about that. Raiders at the Eagles. Another Monday night game. Eagles win. They clinch overall number 1 seed, but guess what? This team is a whole lot different without Carson Wentz. Last week was probably just a mirage we saw from Nick Foles when he went kind of ham against the Giants defense that's just been very lackluster this year. They played against a Raiders defense that is just as bad as the Giants, and Nick Foles looked bad. The offense looked bad. The offense looked predictable. You can tell that Nick Foles just doesn't have the same chemistry that Carson Wentz does, and it's not Nick Foles' fault. When you're in the season with the rule changes for the NFL practice-wise, Nick Foles doesn't get any reps. Let's just be honest. I'm pretty sure this last week was all his reps. And he has to know these guys, and he just doesn't. And thank God they have a bye so they can kind of rest him for this week, rest him for the first round as well. And then it's a lot of practice time you'll have for the divisional game that you will be hosting. But this team looks like they're very vulnerable without Carson Wentz now. The defense isn't making plays like they should. They gave a lot of big plays to the Raiders. So I don't know what's going on with the Eagles, but they do beat the Raiders. And they win 19-10 in a game that was much closer to what the score was. They basically got a garbage score at the end by Barnett for the Eagles. But Eagles do win. They clinch the first round, the overall seed in the NFC. They're good to go, so they're going to rest a lot of players, and I don't blame them. And the Raiders, poor Raiders. This was my Super Bowl, AFC pick, and they're not even in the playoffs this year. It's just how bad it goes. If it ran Marshawn Lynch a whole lot more, things could have been different. But, why get the guy and don't run him? I'm just saying. But with that being said, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Basically, I went, let me see what I went. 16 games, and 1, 2, 3, 4, Well, I went 12-4. That's not bad. That's not bad. I've gone a lot worse, I'll tell you that. But 12-4 is a very good pick, very good record for me, so I'm happy about that. That being said, you guys, please let me know who you guys got clinching the AFC wildcard spots and the NFC wildcard spots. Seattle needs Atlanta to lose and for them to win as well against Arizona. And then Carolina is trying to clinch at least home field for the wild card. If they win and the Saints lose, Saints just need a victory to clinch a wild card spot. To clinch a home wild card game. So we got a lot of stuff going on, and there will be no Sunday night football because of the way the scenarios are running. Everyone pretty much has to play, so a lot of games will be bumped up to the 3:25 area time frame, so where you don't know you can't watch anyone play. So it's gonna be crazy, and I cannot wait for it. So please, hit me up, let me know, comment down below, like, comment, subscribe to Uneducated Network on YouTube, so you see my show, Uneducated Sports Talk, and many other shows on the channel. We're more than just a channel, we're a way of life. So, Uneducated Network presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and as always, sports fans, you know what time it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.